Hi everyone, and thanks for joining us today for a great webinar session featuring our customer ViON, who will talk about their custom Salesforce community, which we cannot wait to show you. My name is Laura Ginsberg, and I will be moderating today's session. Before I introduce our agenda and our presenters, I wanted to let you know that, as always, we are recording today's webinar as well as taking your questions. Feel free to enter them anytime in the GoToWebinar questions panel, and we'll get to as many as we can at the end of the presentation. As always, we'll be happy to connect with you offline if you have more specific or in-depth questions as well. So on today's agenda, we will start off with some introductions and framework around Salesforce community and how they're used. And we'll then move right into getting to know ViON. We have two presenters from the ViON team who will share more about why a community was right for them and how they went about building a custom portal for their customers. We'll then take a live look at ViON's customer community before wrapping up with how you can get started on your own community project. I'd like to briefly introduce you to Luxent if you don't know us already. We're based in California with a team of experts nationwide. We're a silver Salesforce partner, and we specialize in helping manufacturers and distributors make the most of their Salesforce platform investments, including with integration to ERP, advanced quoting, and extensions of the Salesforce Cloud, such as the Salesforce Community Cloud that you're going to hear more about today. On the next slide, you can see we are knowledgeable on all aspects of the Salesforce platform, and we'd be happy to talk to you more about how we can help you fully leverage Salesforce to meet any objectives of your organization. So I'll have some contact information at the end of this event if you'd like to reach out to us directly, or you can email our Salesforce experts anytime. Very conveniently, they have an email inbox, salesforceexperts@luxent.com. So with that, I'd like to segue into the good stuff, introduce you to our presenters today. I am joined by three presenters, Luxent Salesforce consultant Chad Smith, Kim McCabe, and Jean Boozle from ViON. Chad was hands-on throughout the ViON community project, and he'll be on later to take you through a tour of their community. So let's get a quick introduction to the Salesforce Community Cloud in case the topic is new or newer to you. A community is similar to an online portal and can be built for a variety of audiences. While community users are usually external to your company, such as customers or partners, distributors, manufacturers, reps, a community is also something that can be used for internal employees. They're a great place to store and share resources and knowledge. And as we've covered on previous webinars, which you can conveniently view at your leisure on our website, a community is incredibly versatile, and Salesforce provides templates and a lot of training information if you would like to attempt to build your own. So on today's webinar, we'll be at the other end of the spectrum, which is just how custom can you make a Salesforce community. And that brings us to introducing our customer ViON. So to get started with the meat of our presentation today, it's my pleasure to introduce Kim and Jean from ViON. And Kim, I'd like to have you kind of start us off and just orient the group here and give us a little bit of background on ViON as a company.
Okay, well, ViON has been in business for 35 years. We are a boutique IT reseller that is breaking into the solution, cloud, and big data markets. Even though we are growing as a company, we also like to keep that mom and pop environment and an intimate customer experience. With that said, it's what drives our business decisions, especially around the customer support. Our customers are mainly federal, state, and local entities that expect a professional, speedy resolution. Our goal within ViON's customer support is to provide the customer with a seamless experience from the time their case is created until the case is resolved. My first experience with Salesforce was about 2 years ago, this August, and Salesforce fit right into our business. We were able to dispatch field engineers via Salesforce as the system knows exactly who's on call. I've also been able to create, modify, and utilize a lot of reporting functions for quarterly and monthly support meetings with little to no training.
Perfect, thank you. And I'm glad that you mentioned just how core that vision is of having that really seamless and fantastic user experience, because I think that really informs a lot about your approach to a community and why that was right for you. So let's dig into that a little bit now that we know a little bit about ViON and some of how they address that customer experience. Can you talk a little bit why a community was the right approach for ViON?
Naturally, the community was the next step in both the ViON Salesforce experience and keeping our customers' intimate model. So it was the next step for our customers, getting them involved in the data the support center uses on a daily basis. The community was not created to prevent the verbal communication with our customers, but enable them to interact with lower priority items on their own time and kind of in their own way. They can see their inventory, create cases, look at open and closed cases, and it also enables the customer to track their business in their own customer portal. So we were able to add more value from our customer support department, and we also deliver knowledge base and question forms to our customers. So it was definitely the right time. We are growing here at ViON, and we now have the ability to let our customers grow with us.
Great. Yeah, no, I think that component of self-service is very important to a lot of us who are bringing our consumer behaviors and mindsets into the workplace. So it's definitely a very smart move on your part. So the customer experience is and the customer support, the exemplary customer support, is something that you guys have repeatedly touched on, and I know that that's a real key part of the ViON vision. So Jean, once you were talking about a Salesforce community, and it seemed like that was the right approach, I know that you guys spent a lot of time really designing that whole experience with the portal. And when we're talking to customers who, a lot of them are, they're starting out and they're thinking about, okay, well, how would I even begin thinking about a community or planning what my community would be like? This is something that's really important, is that customer experience and designing for the customer experience that you want them to have. Can you talk us through a little bit about what you guys really put into that thought process and what that was like for you?
Yeah, sure. We spent around 2 months gathering information from other portals, really in the B2C space and not the B2B space. We really wanted it to feel like just the person that was going to Microsoft for support, or even your telecom service for support. We wanted to make it so really clean and natural feel, so keeping the color scheme really simple, white, making it so that you don't have to guess when you log in. There's big buttons, you can make a decision really quickly, because when things are broken, people are upset. And keeping that all in mind, that you go to some place for information, you don't want to spend a lot of time there messing around trying to figure out just how to get some help. So that was really our thought process when we started looking at what other companies were doing, taking some ideas and then saying, oh no, I don't like this. So that was really how we started to brainstorm around the experience that we wanted our customers to have.
And part of that was that seamless brand experience, right? Can you touch a little bit on that and how you wanted to make sure that the ViON brand really came through?
Yeah. So after we decided really how we wanted our customers to interact, it was just about throwing all of our branding on top of it. We do have brand standards, so that makes it really simple, and we knew that we wanted customers to be able to access the portal without memorizing the link, so we linked it to our website, and then so that is the catapult for how we wanted that brand to go, just using the website as using the portal as an extension from the website, and the website as a template. So you can actually get all of our blog stuff there, our Twitter stuff, so you're still connected with a larger company even though you're really getting support.
Great, great. And we'll see that live in just a few minutes here, so that's kind of your teaser. So, like any, technical projects, of course there's going to be specific requirements, and no different in this case. So Kim, can you talk to us a little bit about some of the priorities that you had, and why these were items that were top of mind for ViON?
Well, we do sell to government agencies where their support teams are divided by location. So we needed the community to be agile enough where a contact could access multiple locations with their login. So this was to ensure that we, ViON, are doing what we need to do to protect our customer data. We've made the portal a more user-friendly environment so the customer is able to easily create cases without confusion or frustration. Gaining knowledge and insights to their ViON data should be simple. So delivering the ViON experience shouldn't change based on the tool. Whether it's the website, portal, or marketing material, the experience should always be the same. By using our website templates, the customer portal just feels like an extension of the ViON family.
Excellent. So, again, as we mentioned sort of in the intro about communities, there are these really great out-of-the-box templates that Salesforce provides, and in fact, Chad presented on this on a previous webinar that you can get on our website that shows you a little bit more about those templates and how to use them. But as we've mentioned several times now, ViON really wanted this fully custom approach. And Kim, if there's anything else you want to add to that about, how you just wanted to make sure that, that it really had to be custom. The templates were great, but in this case, it was really about, having that seamless experience.
Right, and it's the only way it would work for ViON. So giving them a custom customer portal, user-friendly for the customer to create their cases and view their inventory. That was our goal. Perfect.
So Jean, we worked together to build the community. Can you tell us more about the project itself and how you guys worked with Luxent to realize that vision and make the customer portal what you wanted it to be?
Yeah, so Luxent was our Salesforce implementation partner, and they're a continuing developing partner with our little development. They've always delivered really intuitive and unique solutions for all of our unique requirements. So you guys are just a natural fit into going forward with the customer community. As we think about our growth, we always want to make sure that our developers are in line with the growth that we need, and so it was a natural choice.
Excellent. Well, with that, we've talked so much about how beautiful this community is, and I know that Chad, who's on the line, has spent a lot of time helping to realize the vision for the community. So I'd like to welcome Chad Smith, who's going to come on and take us through a brief tour of ViON's customer community.
Okay, great. Thanks, Laura. Yeah, so just let's spend a few minutes kind of demoing the community that we built with ViON. And the first thing I just kind of want to point out or show is that it's kind of the color scheme for ViON.com and its look and feel, and the link for the support portal. All that's unified across between the kind of headquarters address as well as the community. So when somebody wants to log in, they can do it right from the ViON homepage. And all this is set up with Salesforce security, so username, passwords, and all that good stuff are completely maintained by Salesforce when you have a community like this. So after somebody logs on, they're going to be presented with our community homepage. And so as kind of Jean was talking about earlier, we really wanted this to be very simple. There's big panels here with nice descriptions on what all these different things to do. So if somebody needs to open a new case or view their existing cases, if they want to go and download manuals and documentation or review their shipments or orders, it's all very quickly and easily accessible right from the home page here. And then also on the home page, we give the users some information that is very important right off the bat. So from the home page, they can see their open cases. They can see who is assigned to their account team, as well as some handy links back to the ViON's home page and also their upload server. And then some news and announcements, just information from ViON there. And so we also wanted to design it so that if we wanted to add a new link or put in a new news and announcements, that it's not going to require a development effort or a change in the visual force. So a Salesforce administrator can just go to this community configuration object that we built in Salesforce, click the new button, and decide to add a new link or a new message, and then it's going to automatically show up right on the home page for everybody, so no programming required. So from the home page, the users can also just view their profile and update their email address or phone number if necessary. And then we were talking about a little bit on the security. So these are government agencies, so they could have 10 or they could have multiple locations, but one individual, like Chad Smith here, who we're logged in as, may only be able should only see information related to one of the locations, and they can set their default here. But then security-wise, we've restricted access to cases and orders and shipments and serial numbers, restricted the access to the data. So unless somebody is listed as a contact on a particular ship to, they're not going to see that information. So the end users working with ViON's Salesforce administrator can decide what people see on even on an individual by individual basis. So then from there we go in, and the end user is allowed to see their cases, and these are all hyperlinked, so they can drill into the case if they want to see the detail. They can also see cases for different locations. So I only have one ship to, so I'm only going to see open cases or closed cases for one. But if I had access to multiple, this drop-down would let me switch between those. And then on to orders to see all the orders that I've placed, and we can filter that down also by a date range here. And again, there's the hyperlink, so the users can drill into a particular order to see the details. And you can see this is kind of when we drill into these individual records, just from a cost and time perspective to get this launched quickly, we're leveraging the standard Salesforce record detail page here. So we didn't have to do custom development efforts all the way through, mostly just on these main pages. So very similar to orders, I can go in and I can see all of my shipments and my tracking numbers, as well as my serial numbers. So these would be the individual assets that I have at my location. And then we leveraged Salesforce Knowledge and QA, kind of standard out of the box. So somebody can go in and research the knowledge base, do lookups or do searches on the knowledge base to get more information about whatever is going on. And then chat or question and answer, leverage that as part of the Salesforce Service Cloud as well. And finally, we have manuals and documents, which is something that we just have added recently. This gives the end users the ability to, or it gives ViON the ability to go into a Salesforce library, which is standard functionality within Salesforce, and contribute different PDFs and links to external websites that their internal people can use via the library. But then we also replicate that information over to the community, so the community users can also have access to it. All right.
Thank you, Chad. Looks great. I think what I like so much about that community, on top of the beautiful branding, because that's very important to me, is I just love how robust it is. There's so much great information here. It's obvious that it's really been thought through and added, a lot of robust resources and information and links to where you need to go. So I think that's a great example of how to really fully utilize a Salesforce community. So thank you very much for the demo, and I'd like to take it back to our ViON team. So Kim, now that the community is live and customers are using it, can you tell us a little bit about how it's going and what kind of feedback you're getting and where you might take it from here?
Yep, the results have been a faster approach to dispatching the FEs on cases created by the customer through Salesforce in the portal. One quick click on a button and the FE is notified of the case within minutes. I mean, it's been great. It saves the customer's time, which we consider very valuable. not having to sit on the phone trying to figure out what menu options to choose from. Now they create a case on their own and on their own time. So again, the customer portal is very easy for the customers to navigate through, a way to put the customer at ease, them knowing they can create a case, submit it, and know that ViON will be notified and working the case through the portal. We also encourage customer feedback. We've had a few suggestions already and hope to implement them here in the near future.
Great. I'm so glad to hear that they've really been embracing it, and I think that you guys definitely have the right approach to thinking about how customers and all of us really have expectations about how easy it should be to get in touch and get help and be able to do it, whether it's through a phone or through a site. So it's great to see such a beautiful Salesforce community. So with that, since we are on a very tight schedule here, we're going to start wrapping things up a little bit. So I'll just remind everyone that you can go ahead and put questions into that panel whenever you'd like. Chad, I want to kick it back to you for just a second. You've worked with a lot of customers who've been implementing communities and talking about communities and growing their communities. And now that our attendees today have had an opportunity to really see what a custom community can be like and where it can take them, can you talk to us a little bit about some pointers that you might have for thinking about how you might get started with a community project?
Sure. I think the first thing to think about is your audience. So who are you going to be launching a community for? And a lot of times that might be a very distinct subset of people, just customers or just partners or just distributors or just internal employees who don't need full Salesforce functionality, just need to see some of the information. So determine what that audience or audiences is, and a single portal can be aimed at multiple audiences. So that's, I think, step one. Step two after the audience is, what are the things that they're going to need to do or want to do within a community. So for a customer community or a customer-focused community like ViON, it's very, it's all about self-service and creating cases and accessing information. If you're thinking of a community for partners or distributors, manufacturing reps, a lot of times it's around lead distribution, lead assignment, lead follow-up. So you can determine that. And then branding, kind of look and feel, is also important. So kind of a rule of thumb that I've just kind of seen in general is when if these are going to be aimed at customers, usually we want that seamless branding. If it's aimed at partners or and it's kind of lead related, maybe that's less important, and we can use standard Salesforce tabs or the Salesforce templates to do that to base that community on. And then just some resources to get started. There's a lot just on Salesforce.com about different communities, and if you have Salesforce, you always have access to Trailhead, which has a couple of different modules talking about communities and in particular things you can do to get started to use the community. So that Trailhead module actually would be one of the first places I would start, I would think.
Okay, fantastic. And we've wrangled some resources for you, and we'll be happy to send those out to everybody after today's session as well. But as Chad mentioned, a lot of great stuff that's out there, free, easy to find, easy to use. So you can definitely take a look at those resources. And I would be remiss if I did not mention our own resources on the Luxent.com website. We have a lot of Salesforce expert resources, including quite a bit on communities, ranging from case studies to how-to recordings, and a lot of good things to get you started on our blog as well. So that's another place that you can take a look. And with that, we'll just flip it to the next slide as we go ahead and get things wrapped up here. So we will take your questions in just a moment here. And while you're entering any questions that you may have, I'll just mention that a reminder that we will be following up with today's event recording, as well as some of those resources I mentioned to help you get started. You can, of course, reach out to us anytime, either through the website, the Salesforce experts at Luxent.com email address, or through any of our social platforms as well. So with that, I've got a couple of questions rolling in here that I'd like to throw out there. And I think these are both actually going to end up being for the ViON team, these first two anyway. So for the ViON presenters, can you talk about, Jean, I think you gave a good overview of how long it took to kind of, in your planning phase and how long it took to think about it. How long was the actual build out in getting, to the community that you're using?
Okay, so I think the build out, it did take us a while. Some of it was because we were doing some iterative development, but from the time it took us to start it, for each phase, no more than, I want to say 6 weeks, and then like we took a phased approach, and so that's kind of how we handled that. Overall, it was pretty lengthy, so you're looking at 6 to 8 months of development time, but we took that in chunks because we knew from our workload that there was only so much time we could dedicate to it. So if you could move faster, then it'd probably be done sooner.
Okay. Chad, does that feel like a pretty typical timeline for you, kind of given what you've worked on with other customers?
Yeah. Yeah, and especially with a custom community like that, that's pretty typical. If you're doing more of a standard community, it can be a lot quicker. But so it's all, it's of course all dependent on how much customization you want to do.
Sure. Okay. And I know that Chad showed this in the demo, but Jean or Kim, it might be interesting to hear from you on the self-administration piece. Chad, I know that you showed how easy it is to add a new message or item. Jean and Kim, can you guys talk about how the question is, how often do you add new content, and how fast and easy is it for you to get that done?
Yeah, so from a security perspective, from the admin side, I can change stuff pretty quickly. It's not difficult to add things, even if we want to hide data, like if we want to hide sales order lines or anything like that. I can do that pretty quickly because we're still using a lot of the Salesforce basic security structure, so none of that is difficult. Even adding links or stuff like that, I mean, you're looking at like 2 minutes because it's all through a configuration instead of, like, you don't have to like go into an object and change anything, so that makes it really simple. I don't know if Kim wants to talk to adding contacts, but.
Well, yeah, adding contacts is actually fairly easy, and even adding the links, we've added a couple. It literally takes 2 minutes to add a link, if that. So, and it's immediate, so the customer can see it right away.
Great. Perfect. I think that's exactly the information this person was probably looking for. So yeah, fast and easy to keep it updated. Well, fantastic. Thank you both for all your thoughts and input. Chad, thanks so much for the tour and for sharing some of your community's expertise. We are right at the half-hour mark, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Chad, if you want to throw it back up to the PowerPoint slide, we'll just close out on that in case anybody wants to get in touch with us. So thank you again for being here. It was great to have you on today's webinar. Big thanks to our friends at ViON for being with us today and sharing their story, and we'll hope to see you on a future event. Thank you so much and have a great day.